For what purpose does Mr. Bishop seek recognition?
To move to strike the last word.
Gentleman is recognized.
Look, it's fascinating. The chairman's opposition to the amendment strikes me as astonishing. We know, we wouldn't know, to emphasize a point that Mr. Biggs made, we would not even know that there exists this threat tag called edu officials unless a whistleblower from the FBI had decided to provide it to the ranking member, to provide that information. That would not have been disclosed to us. Notwithstanding that 3 days after the Attorney General issued his problematic memorandum, I asked in a letter for all communications relevant to that action. So the FBI has concealed it. The Department of Justice has concealed it. We know that it exists. We know because the majority's witness, a United States attorney from the state of Washington, was here some weeks ago and upon questioning by me could not give examples of anyone acting in what the chairman refers to as harassment, intimidation, threats, or even acts of violence. I don't even know what the chairman means by harassment, intimidation, threats. Does that include people just being angry at the school board? What if somebody finds that harassing? Is that what the FBI has been sent across the nation to engage in these meetings? To call out parents? Is the chairman in position to assure us, given what's happened without any disclosure by the Department of Justice or by the FBI, is the chairman in position to assure us that this tag hasn't been applied to parents of American school children, to any of them? Is he sure? All that the majority can think about, all they're anxious to do is demonize people, call them white supremacists. But in here we have an example that we know that the process has been used by the Attorney General of the United States to call out a nationwide polemical movement, a nationwide protest, to intimidate it, to stigmatize it, to chill it in direct violation of the First Amendment. And a simple expedient of saying we will not use any funds. Can't use this threat tag to demonize and categorize and log parents of school children in counterterrorism databases of the FBI, and we can't even pause for a moment to allow that to go in. Of course it should go in. Terribly sound amendment, and I thank the gentleman for offering it. I yield to the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Biggs. I thank the gentleman. If there's no problem, why don't they disclose? Why don't they tell us? Why didn't they tell us about the edu officials threat tag? And why don't they tell us how it's being used?
Exactly.
Instead, the members of the majority are reduced to relying upon articles in the leftist media from Reuters and USA Today, a USA Today fact check. Fact check. And what do they do? The USA Today assumes a grave tone, analyzes the evidence, and concludes there is no misuse, there is no challenge, no tracking of parents, school parents. Why? Because the Attorney General said that he would never do anything like that. That's the evidence. That's the evidence. That doesn't, the articles from Reuters and USA Today do not establish an answer to the question that is at hand about the use of the edu officials threat tag any more than the unanimity among big tech and Washington Post and New York Times and CNN and ABC, CBS and NBC that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation made that so. And that's all you've got. That's all you've got. Self-serving articles by media favorable to the Biden administration that doesn't want the Biden administration held to account for contriving this episode. That's what they did. They contrived it. They used the National School Boards Association as a cutout to generate this letter asking that something be done because of threats, when what they meant was they didn't like parents questioning their control. And they were pleased to use intimidation through the machinery of law enforcement on a federal scope, the FBI and the DOJ, to intimidate and stigmatize parents speaking up against the way their children are being indoctrinated. With that, I yield back to the gentleman.